Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. Hello friends and welcome to Sharp Ends. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about camp stoves. I do a lot of camping. I hope you do too. And if you're ever out there camping off of a boat or in a campground or out of the back of your car or at your house in a power outage, these are some of the stoves I think that you should be interested in. I think of stoves as basic survival gear. I am not necessarily what you call a prepper. I do have a large pantry with a lot of extra food, and I do have a gas generator that I take care of and I maintain. And I do think about things going wrong in today's world. And I think an essential piece of gear for any of those scenarios, no matter if you're camping or prepping, is a good camp stove and having different options too. So today I wanted to talk to you about some of my favorite pieces of gear in those regards. First off, the very first camp stove I ever had was one of these Sterno canned cooking fuel containers. I still have a bunch of these. They are filled with gel, and you just pop this off and you light it. Lasts for 2.5 hours, and you can put this back on. This will take a while to cook anything, especially in windy conditions. But it's always good to have a lot of different alternatives for you to use. This is something you can start up if I'm making a big pot of soup and it's gonna need to be on there for a long time. I might use this instead of burning up a bunch of butane. If I was going to make a stew, I might use this in a survival situation or in a camping situation. Although if I'm camping, honestly, I'm not going to be making stew. There's no reason to not have a few of these in your stash of extra stuff. Next, the very first stove I ever got was an MSR. MSR Mountain Science Research, I think. I can't remember exactly what it stands for. I think they make the best stoves out there. This is a very old one. This is the first one that I got, and back in the day, I was poor. Well, early 20s, you don't have much money. And I spent what back then was a lot of money. I can't remember how much this cost back then, probably $50. But to me, that was like $1,000. And it lasted me forever. And it still lasts pretty good. So the way that this works is has a little ring here, and it goes on a Sterno can. And these blends, you can get cheap ones or expensive ones. I just bought this gas one, and I bought like a big old box of them, tons and tons of them, right? So you just put it on here, and then you screw it down, right? And then sorry if this is really basic, but maybe you're out there and you're looking for something. And then, and then it comes on. Now this, you need a lighter to actually light up the fuel. And this turns out to hold your pot. Has a nice big stable base. This is rather large and clunky compared to what they offer today. I still have it around, obviously, because why would you throw it away? It's nice to have an extra burner, right? Let's see, what else do I have here? And then, so that's very nice. So that rather old one. And I finally pulled a trigger a couple of years ago. I think right before the pandemic hit, I got this new one. I couldn't help myself, or maybe it was during the beginning of the pandemic. Pandemic really opened my eyes to the fact that we are really dependent on things outside of our own lives that could change our lives in an instant. Pandemic for me meant that, a lot of things could go wrong really fast, and suddenly you're trying to survive for your life. If you think about the people in Ukraine right now, last year at this time, they had no idea, the people living in Kherson, that their entire city would be destroyed and that they would have nothing. I'm sure that there are some of those people who are more prepared than others to deal with that situation. I want to, if I am in a place where there's urban warfare going on, or if there is a survival situation going on, I want to be able to take care of my family. And being able to cook food, I think, is probably a very important part of that. I ended up picking this up, and this is the new MSR one, and I really like this. And the reason why I really like this is because it's more compact, it folds up nicely. The gears, or rather not the gears, but the valve is very nice, and it has a piezo lighter on it. I don't know if you can see that piezo, but you see that spark right there? So it lights up. You don't even need a lighter to get this going. It's pretty efficient. It's very tight. And it's just, it's really good for small meals. Now, one thing that I don't like about it is when it has a pot on it, and I've never had a problem with the pot falling off of this. When it's on there and there's weight down on here, it's absolutely fine. However, when there's nothing on here, these are kind of loosey-goosey and can fall over. But I mean, you'd have to be really, I don't know. I feel safe with it. I've never had it fail on me before. But what this does allow is that this all together folds up into a very small little package and goes in a very small little bag, especially compared to the older style and bigger ones, right? I like that. I like that a lot. It makes my packing for trips, camping, and everything else much easier to just have this little guy here. I will also say that this, and this for that matter, I can boil water in less than 5 minutes. I think it's like 3 minutes, and I have a nice little kettle. This at full, water is boiled almost instantly. It's amazingly fast, faster than on my own home oven range, and I think that's just because of the amount of BTUs it puts out. And then finally, there's a couple other things I want to show you. This is a stove, a BioLite stove that I have that has a fan on it. And what it does is you actually burn wood in here, and it has a little probe in here. This probe generates electricity, and then you can plug in your cell phone down here. Down here, you can plug in your cell phone. It has a fan that makes a vortex at the bottom of there, and it burns it really fast. And you put your pots or pans on top here, and you can cook. Honestly, I don't use this pretty much at all. I took it out camping a few times, and it was nice to keep the bugs away. But this is the situations that I use this. I use this BioLite for situations where I'm in a campsite where there's no fires allowed because of fire warnings or whatever. This is contained and can be on a table, and it'll be fine. The other situation I would use this is in a survival situation. If I need an auxiliary means of charging my phone, and if I run out of fuel, then this is a way that I can cook things, right? So as far as a piece of survival equipment goes, I really like this. As far as like an average take this out, go camping piece of equipment, not so much. Yeah, that's just my thoughts on this BioLite. You might not want to get it if you're just looking for something to go camping with, but if you're looking for an alternative method to charge your phone and a piece of survival gear, this might be something you might want to consider. Finally, I want to talk about one of the most important pieces of equipment you can get. This is a little valve, a two-way valve for taking fuel from an almost spent can of gas and hooking it up to one that is, half full and transferring them. You screw this on from side to side, and you put 2 cans on here, and then you put the other can on here, and then you take the one that you want to fill up into, and then you loosen this valve up, and the gas pours from one can to the other. That is a way of getting that last little bit of gas out of there and not having to carry around tanks that are just got a little bit left in them and then having to transfer halfway through cooking. It just makes everything so much easier. This valve, I think, cost me $20. It's just an amazing piece of kit. So simple and easy, and just makes everything much better when you're camping with gas. I think that's all my thoughts on camp stoves. Thank you very much for joining me this week, and if you have any thoughts about camp stoves, let me know. I guess one thing I didn't mention is white gas stoves, which a lot of people prefer for long-term trekking and camping. I don't use that stuff. I do have some white fuel, and I do have a white fuel stove, because you can never have too many camp stoves, in my opinion. But I don't use it as a regular method, nor do I recommend it for everyday use. If you're going to go on the Appalachian Trail and hike the entire Appalachian Trail over a summer, I can see why you would want to carry white fuel, because it's much more compact and easy to use and lasts a lot longer. But as far as the kind of camping that I do and the kind of survival situations I think I'm going to be in, I don't think that that's necessary. So thank you very much, guys, and I hope you have a good week, and I will see you next time.